Hi, Joe Cerrone.
And Alan Rosen.
Welcome to CAD 107 in our weekly Zoom classroom meeting. Okay, so Lab 8 has been released. It's a small box project, and we're going to start to work with being able to add our logo to that. We have a lecture from the textbook that we're going to take a look at. Here's our information for that. If we click on that, we're going into phase 2 of the textbook. Actually, I wanted the other link. Delete. There we go. So as we take a look at how the curriculum for the 3D printing course is, we're using the 3D printing and prototyping textbook. And this is kind of hanging up on me, so I'm going to just bring my PowerPoint in here. And so as we take a look at the textbook material, looking at part 2 of the textbook, designing for 3D printing. And so now that we understand how the different types of technology for 3D printing work, we're going to be looking at how we can design to best use that technology. And essentially, it's very CAD based. As we look at 3D CAD, the videos are made with AutoCAD, but we're getting students now that are using Fusion as well as SolidWorks. And I feel that is kind of where the course is going to go. We'll be creating these files and then exporting them in a format that we can read, standard tessellation language, STL file, that we'll bring into 3D Builder, and we'll emboss our name on it. You look at some of the other technologies in the textbook, it talks about scanning as a way to input information. And as the 3D printing field continues to grow, this will be a way to model for 3D printing as well. And so things in the medical area are being used in 3D printing quite a bit. We've given you some videos on some of that information. Other areas other than manufacturing that 3D printing is used is in the dental industry. And so I went to my dentist and he has the ability to make dental implants and things using this technology. And so we're going to see more information about 3D printing. And it would probably be more like an SLA type printer, where just like when they fill your tooth and they use a optic to harden the filling material, the 3D printing materials will be of those types of materials so that you will have a healthy tooth. And the way that they'll get the input, some of the information is from things like CT scans, where they can actually take and customize the implants for output using 3D printers. For us, we're using CAD. And so we're taking this from a basic level of using CAD programs to be able to design for printing. As we look towards the next thing, we're looking towards dual extrusion or multiple extrusion type technologies. Right now, we're using a single extruder, but we do have the ability to do dual extrusion. We have a pallet system that will do, or that will allow us to run multi-materials, 4 different materials, but it's really not that developed yet. As I feel as the technology continues, we believe that multiple extruders will be the next thing in materials as well. And so as we start to work with some of these files, we'll be touching on that as well. But for right now, we're using inserts. We can go ahead and design this and then use Boolean applications to subtract the geometry for that, and then print them in a different color and insert it, and it works great. And so from that standpoint, you're not going to do everything on the 3D printer. You're going to have some post-processing. As we look at the upcoming events, Module 8, this is our small box, is going to be due on April 12th. Module 7 is due on April 12th. Al, is that right? Did we have that set properly?
I think so.
Resuming. So as we were making the video, I had to switch my user to be able to display the dates. So Module 7 is due on April 12th. And as we look at the calendar, we're basically getting things set up so that we know when the course is over. So Module 7 is due on April 12th. Module 8, which is our small box, is due on April 19th. And then Module 9 will be our last module, will be due on the 26th. Final exam will start on May 3rd and will be due on May 8th. It will be very similar to the midterm, but we will be adding the additional content from part 2 of our textbook, which we were talking about here in our lecture information. And that's right here. All work is due on May 10th. So that time will go by quickly. We want to make sure that everybody plans appropriately. We look at the content section. Lab 8, Module 8, we're going to be making these boxes. There's a couple of different ways that you can make the box. You can make it by traditional, or you can make them by using a shell type of approach. Box will look like this. We'll take that from our 20 projects book. And so let's go back. This is the one I'm looking for, I believe. Yes, from our 20 projects book. And so as we look at, they've made kind of a twist on it. You don't need to put a twist on it. I find it's kind of an advanced CAD. And I do get a few students that will be able to, work with those design variations. But essentially, we're going to create this box that's going to be 100 millimeters by 80 millimeters. Model the box, and we'll create the top for it. And so we do have a tutor file. So if we take a look at the tutor file, go back to Lab 8, you can download the CAD file. And open it. And so here's our tutor file. We view this from the top view. We're essentially going to be modeling this box. It's 100 millimeters, 100 millimeters. Then we'll extrude that, and we'll create the lid for that. Pretty straightforward as we've been working on these files. This is our 8th project. Once we have that created, then we can bring in a logo for it. And we'll give you a couple of different options. One option will be to use Boolean operations to subtract the geometry from the box. The other option will be to use 3D Builder. And so let's look at option 2. If we're to take this and export it, we'll export this as an STL file, and I'm just going to throw this in my downloads. I'll name it small box. Typically, I'll put my initials on it. Select the file to be exported out. And you could also export out the top of the box, depending on where you want to put your logo. And you can use the Oakton logo, or you can use something of your own. But we need to be able to identify our 3D printed parts. Yeah, I just exported that one out. So as we go and take a look at 3D Builder, what we can do is we can open, and remember 3D Builder can be downloaded at no charge. We'll load our object. So here's my small box. Comes in as a millimeter dimension drawing. And then what we can do is we can edit it. And so for right now, I'm just editing things with text. And so we can say edit, emboss, and then we can put our name on it. We can say Oakton College. And then we can place that text on that drawing. Can move it. Can add some color to the side if you like. And then check mark. And so it doesn't look exactly perfect as far as the text goes, but it's a quick way to be able to emboss it so that we know whose projects are whose. And that's a big part of being able to manage our 3D printing. And then what we'll do is we will export this or save it. I still like the STL file format best. And so we'll export this. And then we'll go into our slicing software. Open that file. And we will probably scale these a bit. So I'm going to bring this down. We'll go with 60%. And then we could print the top as well. When we go through and we print these, we'll be using PLA, polylactic acid. We'll go with low quality. And for this, as long as you orientate the print in the right orientation, you won't need support material for it. Build plate adhesion, I would say on this one, I'm going to use none. I think we could probably print this. We have enough to do without having build plate adhesion. It's one less thing that we have to worry about. We prepare this. We'll be able to print this in about 2.5 hours. Once we have the top on there, it'll add about probably another 30 minutes. And as we go through and we start printing our projects, remember, you can pick up your projects in the blue bins at the Skokie campus, and we will have those available. This week, we have some events that will be running, and so we might have a little delay in getting these prints into your blue box, but we will have them ready for pickup after that event next week. So as we take a look at how the files are set up, there's a tutor, video tutor right here. So in this tutorial, walk through And the technology is really quite good, where we can actually go through and monitor how we're building these on the internet using a webcam. And then we'll print those. And as you can see, you can monitor the print using a camera. It's an awesome technology. All right. Back. And then here's the oak leaf if you're going to use that subtraction method. And then we have additional videos here for preparing and printing our box. All right, back to the main splash page. Remember, if you need additional assistance, you're welcome to come in. Please send us an email, let us know. But we're on campus and we're available if you want to work in the lab or if you have difficulty with your technology. Just come into the classroom and use the computers at Oakton. Sometimes it's quicker because as the course comes to an end, we want everybody to do really well. And so we'll have one more lab assignment, module 9, and then we'll get ready for the test. Test will be similar to the midterm with the additional chapters, and then all work will be due May 10th. With that, I'm going to stop the recording and open things up for questions.